Hi, Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So I'm not sure what kind of reading you did over the summer. I read some novels, some nonfiction, but one of the things I did spend some time reading were all these articles about superbugs and biological threats and antibiotic resistant bacteria. And no, it wasn't a Michael Crichton novel, although if Michael Crichton were still alive, he probably would be writing about such things. No, I was reading about all these things that actually exist, and quite frankly, they scared the hell out of me. Now, I'm not smart enough or educated enough to be able to give you all the detail about this stuff. And the last science class I really took was at Iona Prep, 1970, 1971 chemistry. I think chemistry's probably changed since then, and I remember absolutely none of it. But these articles really were kind of interesting. And basically what it comes down to is this concern in the medical community and the scientific research community that basically there are these antibiotic resistant bacteria out there that could cause enormous problems for people. And people say, listen, we got to pay attention to this stuff, and we got to do it before people are actually dead in the streets. I don't know about you, but those kinds of phrases actually sort of get my attention. And basically, we're very close, according to some of these articles, to the emergence of a superbug that there simply won't be any kinds of antibiotics out there that will be able to do any kind of real damage to these bacteria. And they're going to cause an awful lot of problems. I mean, my sense is, and nobody really said this, is this is going to make the Zika virus look like the common cold. Now, there are a couple of genes out there, I want to make sure I get this right, called MCR1 and MCR2 that are resistant to this drug called colistin. And colistin is the drug apparently they used when there were antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria. And this really scares a lot of people. Basically, one of the things that this article I was reading in Business Insider said, and I want to make sure this right, is that the emergence of superbugs has been blamed on the overuse of antibiotics in both people and in livestock. Now, the problem is some of these antibiotics, while they're not used here in the United States, they are used in a lot of other places, including China. And they're used in places where we actually get our food from. That should be a little bit scary. There was a Los Angeles Times piece that really grabbed my attention. Let me quote it to you. They said that the golden age of antibiotics appears to be coming to an end. Its demise hastened by a combination of medical, social, and economic factors. For decades, these drugs made it easy for doctors to treat infections and injuries. Now, common ailments are regaining the power to kill. Grab your attention? Now, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, basically they're putting together a network of hospitals. They're going to be able to deal with outbreaks when they occur. And like I said, I'm not really educated enough to understand all this stuff, but one of the things, you'll forgive me, the strains that runs through a number of these articles is a sense that I get that it is more important than ever, especially in the food industry, to be transparent, to have as much information as possible about the foods that are being harvested, sold, and consumed. Because if we don't have lots of information, all the possible information about these things, it could create real problems down the road. We've got to be totally transparent. We've got to be totally trackable. Right? That's going to be a responsibility of the food industry, of everybody in the food chain. And we're going to have to do a better job in the food industry of communicating to consumers about what they need to know and how they need to handle products. Because if they don't handle them right, it could create problems on the other end as well. Listen, the industry has to be at the forefront of this new level of transparency, this new level of vigilance, because if they're not, well, frankly, not only are they putting lives at risk, it's not as important, but they're also going to be putting their brands and their companies at risk, and they can't do that. They've got to be responsible, and they've got to be responsible for all sorts of reasons. Now, I'm sure there are going to be people out there that are going to suggest, oh, well, these are just scientists who are looking for funding, or we don't need to worry about this stuff. I'm telling you, I'm persuaded that this is a serious problem that we've got to pay attention to. And the minute people start saying, oh, don't worry about it, we can do that down the road, which is generally what the Congress tends to do, I get worried about it because I think that that's the kind of thing that has to be paid attention to now. There's no reason to wait, and in fact, waiting could be a disaster. You can't worry about profit margins, and you can't worry about things like that when you have a risk of these kinds of diseases breaking out and are not having an ability to deal with them in terms of what science is able to do. I don't know about you, but words like superbugs and antibiotic resistant bacteria and biological threats, well, these kind of scare the hell out of me. This is modern reality. This is not science fiction. And everybody in government, everybody in business, everybody in the culture has to pay attention to it, because that's called being responsible. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this Thursday morning. I think I'm going to go back upstairs and crawl under the sheets where it's safe. At least I think it's safe. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.